In the dead of night, over a godforsaken valley in Afghanistan, a team of Navy SEALs lay pinned down, surrounded by hundreds of Taliban fighters, their ammo dwindling, radios crackling with desperate pleas for help. Command had just issued a no-fly order. The skies were too hot, too dangerous, extraction impossible. They were written off, left for dead. But then, out of the darkness, came the unmistakable roar of an A-10 Warthog, piloted by a lone female aviator they'd soon call the Ghost. She broke every rule, defied the order, and dove straight into hell to save them. This is the untold story of courage that changed everything. If you love your mom and dad, the ones who raised you with good old American values like never leaving a brother behind, hit that subscribe button right now and show some love to the channel. We bring you real stories of American heroes every week. Let's get into it. To fully grasp the magnitude of what happened that night in the Tangi Valley in 2009, we need to step back and understand the lives that converged in that crucible of fire. This wasn't just a mission gone wrong saved by one defiant pilot. It was the culmination of decades of choices, sacrifices, training, and unbreakable will forged in the hearts of ordinary Americans who became extraordinary when it mattered most. Let's begin with Captain Elena Ramirez, the woman the ground pounders would forever call the Ghost. Elena was born on a dusty July morning in 1978 in Lubbock, Texas, a flatland town where the sky feels bigger than the earth and the wind carries the smell of cotton and oil. Her father, Carlos Ramirez, was a retired Army sergeant major who had served 2 tours in Vietnam as a door gunner on UH-1 Hueys. He came home in 1972 with a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, and nightmares he never fully shook. Carlos rarely spoke of the war, but when he did, it was always the same lesson. Never leave a man behind, Mija. No matter what the brass says, no matter how bad it gets, you bring your people home. After the Army, Carlos bought a battered yellow Piper Cub and started crop dusting the endless fields of the Texas Panhandle. Money was tight, but the sky was free. Elena's earliest memories were of sitting on her father's lap in that open cockpit, the engine roaring, the smell of avgas and fertilizer mixing in the air as they skimmed treetops. By age 8, she was working the rudder pedals. By 12, she was soloing under his watchful eye. Her mother, Maria, a third-grade teacher at the local elementary school, worried constantly. "That girl is going to get herself killed chasing clouds," she'd say. But Carlos just smiled. "She's got wings in her soul, Maria. You can't ground that." Elena was a force of nature in high school, straight A student, captain of the girls' soccer team, debate champion. But Lubbock in the 1990s wasn't always kind to ambitious girls with big dreams. When she announced she was applying to the Air Force Academy, the whisper started. Girls don't fly fighters. She should think about nursing or teaching. Elena heard it all and let it fuel her. She graduated valedictorian in 1996, accepted to the academy, and left Texas with a duffel bag and a chip on her shoulder the size of the Lone Star State. The academy was brutal. As one of only a handful of women in her class aiming for fighters, she faced constant scrutiny. Upperclassmen pushed harder during physical training. Instructors questioned her scores. Male cadets made crude jokes. Elena responded the only way she knew how. She outworked everyone. She graduated in the top 10% in 2000, earned her pilot slot, and chose the A-10 Thunderbolt II over the sexier F-16 or F-15. Most of her classmates thought she was crazy. The Warthog was ugly, slow, loud, an airborne tank with wings. But Elena saw beauty in its purpose. Built from the ground up to protect soldiers under fire. Undergraduate pilot training at Laughlin AFB in Del Rio was another gauntlet, but she aced it, earning her wings in 2002. Her first operational assignment was with the 354th Fighter Squadron, the Bulldogs, at Davis-Monthan AFB in Arizona. She deployed to Iraq in 2004, flying close air support during the Second Battle of Fallujah. That's where she earned her call sign. On a moonless night supporting Marines house to house, Elena flew through intense ground fire to strafe insurgent positions barely 200 meters from friendly lines. She appeared out of nowhere, delivered hell, and vanished. A Marine radioed. Who the hell was that ghost? The name stuck. By 2009, now a captain with over 800 combat hours, Elena was on her 3rd deployment. this time to Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. She was respected, even revered, by the ground troops she supported. Quietly intense, with piercing blue eyes and a calm voice that never wavered under pressure, she had saved countless lives. But she carried her own scars, friends lost, missions where she arrived seconds too late. Every night she wrote letters home she never sent, promising her parents she'd come back. Now let's meet the SEALs of SEAL Team 10, the men Elena would risk everything to save. Chief Petty Officer Ryan "Hawk" Callahan, the platoon leader, was born and raised in South Boston in 1977 to a family of Irish-American first responders. His grandfather landed on Omaha Beach with the 1st Infantry Division. His father was a Boston PD detective who survived a shootout with Whitey Bulger's crew in the 80s. Ryan grew up on stories of duty, courage, and never backing down. He joined the Navy in 1996 at age 19, went straight to BUD/S, and rang the bell only once, when he graduated. By 2009, he was 32, on his 5th combat deployment, with a reputation for uncanny battlefield instinct. He could sense ambushes before they happened, read terrain like a map in his head. His men trusted him with their lives because he never asked them to do anything he wouldn't. The platoon was a cross-section of America. Lieutenant, junior grade, Sarah "Ice" Donovan, the attached intelligence officer, one of the first women to deploy in direct support with a SEAL platoon, was a Chicago native, daughter of a firefighter killed on September 11th. Ice cold under pressure, she had a mind like a steel trap and a dry wit that kept morale high. Petty Officer First Class Jake "Boomer" Thompson, the breacher, was a 6 feet 4 inches farm boy from Enid, Oklahoma, who could blow a door off its hinges and tell a joke at the same time. Petty Officer Second Class Marcus "Doc" Reyes, the medic, grew up in San Diego's Barrio Logan, son of Mexican immigrants, and had hands so steady he could stitch an artery in a bouncing helicopter. Petty Officer Third Class Tyler "Kid" Harlan, on his first deployment, was a corn-fed Iowan who enlisted right after high school to escape the family farm and prove himself. Operation Thunderstrike began with weeks of planning. Intelligence had been tracking Mullah Abdul Zahir for months. Zahir wasn't just another Taliban commander. He was a rising star, charismatic and ruthless, responsible for a string of sophisticated IED attacks and suicide bombings that killed 58 coalition troops and hundreds of Afghan civilians in Kunar province alone. He operated out of a fortified compound in the Tangi Valley, a narrow, steep-sided gorge near the Pakistani border where Taliban and al-Qaeda fighters moved freely. Capturing or killing Zahir would disrupt an entire network. The mission was approved at the highest levels. 18 SEALs would insert by MH-47 Chinook under cover of darkness, hike 3 miles to the village, silently clear the compound, eliminate Zahir, seize intel, mark weapons caches for airstrikes, and exfiltrate by hello at dawn. Simple on paper. The night of the insertion, September 14, 2009, was moonless and cold. The Chinooks dropped them at a landing zone 2 miles from the target. The team moved in single file, night vision goggles painting the world green. The air smelled of pine and dust. They reached the village outskirts without incident. Boomer placed shaped charges on the outer wall. Ice Donovan monitored drone feeds on a ruggedized tablet. Hawk gave the go signal. They flowed into the compound like water, silent, lethal. Rooms cleared with precision. Zahir was found in a back bedroom, praying. He reached for an AK before Hawk put 2 rounds center mass. Bodyguards engaged, a short, vicious firefight. 3 SEALs lightly wounded, but the target was down, intel drive seized. Then everything went sideways. A teenage goat herder, out early with his flock, spotted the team's thermal signatures on the ridge above the village. He ran screaming toward the houses. Within seconds, the minaret loudspeaker blared the alarm. Windows lit up. AK fire erupted from every direction. Hawk ordered immediate exfil. The team fought their way out, dragging their wounded. But the valley exploded with enemy fighters, hundreds pouring from hidden caves, bunkers, and nearby villages. It was a premeditated ambush. Someone had known they were coming. The SEALs fell back to a dry riverbed, a wadi with chest-high rock walls offering some cover. But the high ground on 3 sides was enemy-held. DSHK 12.7mm heavy machine guns opened up, tracers arcing like red lasers. RPGs walked explosions toward their position. The first Kia was Petty Officer Second Class David Klein, a sniper from Oregon, headshot dropping him mid-sentence. Hawk organized a 360-degree perimeter. Ice-laced targets for air support. Doc Reyes moved from man to man, applying tourniquets, injecting morphine, whispering encouragement. Kid Harlan, 19 years old and shaking, fed belts into his M249 saw and poured fire uphill. They called for immediate close air support and quick reaction force. 2 AH-64 Apaches launched from Jalalabad, but were forced to turn back. Enemy Zu-23-2 anti-aircraft guns spotted on the ridges. F-16s orbited at 20,000 feet, but couldn't see through the terrain clutter. Then the weather report came in. A massive Habub sandstorm rolling in from the west, visibility dropping to 0 within the hour. Joint Special Operations Command made the call, no-fly order. No aircraft could risk it. Extraction helicopters grounded. Reaper 1, conserve ammunition and hold until first light. We'll reassess then. On the ground, the situation deteriorated fast. Ammo counts dropped to final magazines. The Taliban, sensing victory, pressed closer, shouting taunts in Pashto, lobbing grenades over the wadi walls. Another SEAL, Petty Officer First Class Ramirez, no relation to Elena, took shrapnel to the neck and bled out before Doc could stabilize him. A third, Boomer's assistant breacher, lost a leg to an RPG. Hawk gathered his remaining 15. We are not dying here tonight. We hold this ground. Help is coming. I know it. Back at Bagram, 120 miles away, Elena Ramirez was in the squadron-ready room, reviewing weather charts and sipping burnt coffee. She wore her flight suit unzipped, boots propped on a table. The distress calls from Reaper 1 crackled over the speaker. She recognized Hawk's voice immediately. They'd worked together 6 months earlier in Helmand when her gun runs saved his team from being overrun. She listened as command denied support. Something snapped inside her. Memories flooded. Her father's stories of units abandoned in Vietnam, her own missions where seconds meant lives. She stood up abruptly. Her squadron commander, Colonel Mark Harris, a by-the-book officer with political ambitions, blocked her path. Ramirez, stand down. That's an order. With respect, sir, those are Americans down there. My jet can handle ground fire. The A-10 was built for this. It's suicide. Confirmed SAM sites, storm inbound. You'll never make it back. Elena met his eyes. Then I won't come back. But they will. Her wingman, Major Tom Brick Harlan, a good old boy from Mobile, Alabama, tried to reason with her. Elena, think about your family. I am, she said quietly and walked out. Chief Master Sergeant Juan Lopez, the crew chief who'd maintained her jet for 2 deployments, saw her coming across the flight line. Without a word, he signaled his team. Load Ghost 1 heavy. Full gun, Mavericks, clusters, rockets. Everything we got. As Elena strapped in, the cockpit familiar as an old friend, the tower screamed denial of takeoff clearance. She ignored them, taxied to the runway, and poured on the coal. The 2 massive TF-34 engines spooled up, and she launched into the black Afghan night. The flight was pure hell. She flew nap of the earth, 200 feet off the deck, terrain following radar painting mountains in her HUD. Wind buffeted the jet as the sandstorm edge hit. Visibility dropped, but the A-10's titanium bathtub armor and redundant systems were designed for exactly this kind of punishment. 45 minutes later, she approached the Tangi Valley. Her forward-looking infrared pod picked up hundreds of heat signatures surrounding a small cluster. The SEALs. Reaper 1, this is Ghost 1. I have tally on your position. Mark with smoke. Hawk's voice cracked with relief. Ghost. Green smoke out. Enemy north ridge heavy. East and west closing. Elena rolled in on her first gun pass. The GAU-8 Avenger cannon spun up with a demonic whine. Then the valley shook with the legendary BRRT. 4,200 rounds per minute of 30 millimeters depleted uranium death. She walked the fire across the northern ridge, boulders exploding, fighters vaporized. Dozens gone in seconds. The SEALs cheered as the pressure lifted. But the Taliban weren't finished. Manpads streaked skyward. Elena popped flares, barrel rolled, felt the concussion as one detonated close. Warning lights, hydraulic leak. She switched to backup systems and came around again. releasing cluster bombs on the eastern ridge. Hundreds of bomblets scattered, turning machine gun nests into fireballs. Third pass. AGM-65 Maverick missiles on confirmed DSHK positions. Direct hits. But then her fleurs spotted the convoy. 20 technicals and trucks loaded with reinforcements racing up the valley from the south. If they arrived, the SEALs were done. Reaper, large convoy southbound. Engaging. She dove on the trucks, gun ripping through engines and fuel tanks. Secondary explosions lit the night like the 4th of July. An RPG from a ridge clipped her right engine. Fire warning blared. She shut it down, now flying on one engine, trailing smoke. Command was apoplectic. Ghost 1, you are in direct violation of orders. Return to base immediately. Elena clicked the mic twice. Busy. Her final runs expended everything. Rockets collapsing cave entrances on the west ridge, last gun rounds on assaulting infantry. The Taliban broke, fleeing in panic. The storm miraculously began to lift. Exfil helicopters were cleared to launch. But Elena's jet was dying. Left engine failing, hydraulics gone, instruments flickering. She knew she wouldn't make Bagram. Reaper 1, threats neutralized. You're clear for Exfil. Tell my dad. I brought them home. Hawk screamed. Ghost, eject. That's an order. Negative. Drawing remaining fire east. Get your boys out. She turned toward the Pakistani border, climbing into the mountains, tracers chasing her. The A-10 finally gave up, engines flaming out. She rode it down onto a high plateau, gear up, belly landing in rocks. The impact shattered her leg, cracked ribs, concussed her. But she was alive. For 12 days she evaded. Broke her emergency radio on impact, so no beacon. She crawled into a cave, rationed her survival kit, drank snowmelt, set snares for small game. Taliban search parties passed within yards. She moved only at night, leaving false trails. On day 12, a U.S. Army convoy on a routine patrol in the area spotted her carefully laid smoke signal. Rangers fast roped in, extracted her under fire. Back at Bagram, the inquiry was intense. Court-martial recommended. But every surviving SEAL testified. Hawk's words carried weight. She didn't just save 15 lives, sir. She saved the soul of what we fight for. The president intervened. Charges dropped. Elena received the Distinguished Flying Cross in a closed ceremony. Later revelations from seized intel. An Afghan interpreter embedded with the task force had been a Taliban mole. He tipped the ambush. Elena's rogue flight forced the enemy to mass and reveal positions, leading to follow-up strikes that destroyed Zahir's entire network. Years later, Elena retired to Texas, started a foundation teaching girls to fly, mentors young pilots. Hawk visits every year on the anniversary. They sit on her porch, watch the sunset, rarely speak. Just two warriors who understand. The ghost didn't just save lives that night. She reminded a nation what real courage looks like. One person, one choice, refusing to leave brothers behind. This is the full story of blood, fire, loyalty, and unbreakable American spirit. Now, drop a comment below. Tell me what part of the country you're watching from. Texas? California? New York? Florida? The Heartland? Let's see where these stories of American heroes are hitting home. God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America.